Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickle is a psychic medium, numerologist, healer, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there is always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Oh, you're on with me at the very beginning. There's a reason. Usually I introduce. Sometimes this happens. I'm just going with spirit. And we have the wonderful Simon Stone in the house with us today. Hello. Welcome, Simon.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. The cosmos has us right on camera right away. It's like, whoa, here we go. It is the start of October. It's the first day, and there's a new energy within the mix. How are you feeling with the October energy?
It's definitely gone off with a bang, I would say, but
I agree.
It's interesting. There's always fluctuations of energy going around for whatever reason, but I think there's a culmination of a lot of things that are going to be happening for people in October.
Yes. In numerology, September was a very active month. There was a
Yes.
lot of high energy. There was a lot of triple numbers. It was so high energy that I didn't even really go on and talk about it much. I kept telling myself that I was, and I was just busy, just juggling so many things within the mix that I couldn't even teach it. I had to just live it. I'm like, oh, very interesting. And I do feel with October, there is a little bit of a lull within the energy, but it's a very emotional
Yes.
one. But there's almost like a cleansing kind of feeling. It was like the energy rose and got really dense, and then it feels like it's starting to cleanse. I don't know how you feel about that, but I just had a show earlier on this morning. I was in the background and someone was talking about kind of like the autumn energy coming into change, and it had like kind of like like a like a bouncy kind of cleaning feeling, and I'm just like, oh, there's something to that.
Well, it's very much so. When you say about cleaning and all that, we can't forget ourselves. When we're talking about cleaning, like you're saying, cleaning what no longer serves us, trying to move forward. Myself, in my own personal thing, I'm dealing with some difficult stuff and things that, so we all go through it. Just because someone's a medium or someone's been doing this, there's always still something new to learn and to carry on moving forward. But that's part of the whole process. I think it's for everybody has their own unique journey. Everybody has their own unique soul journey to go on. And as you well know, Kelly, it's all about the soul journey rather than anything else. But you'll find when you need certain things, there'll be certain things that will be provided to you by the universe, spirit, whatever you like to describe them. And that's what's happening to me at the moment. So I think everyone, like you say, I understand about the lull, very emotional, because like you say, September was very heightened. And I think October is going to be the release, like you say, the cleansing, the letting go, and the moving forward.
Yes. So I definitely am interested to see how it transpires for everybody. I want to really quick take a moment to say hello to everybody in the house. I saw Jennifer Lee. Hello, good afternoon. Hi, Jennifer. And we have Brenda and Tawny and Bernadette. Hello. Hello, Tawny. Thank you for watching. She's always in Australia. I don't know how you do it, Tawny. She's up in the wee hours. Thank you. Lois, she's saying, hi, Kelly. Hi, Simon from London, UK. Hello. Bernadette's from Canada. People are so kind, to open up this space. We ask everybody, hey, where you're from, or please give, the good vibes as we start to come together to talk. And please, this is, where we talk about Ask your questions. We're not doing quite a reading show today. We're doing the interview show today, but you get to ask questions about your life from a spiritual perspective. So it's kind of like a reading, but it's not a reading. So please know that. But if you want to dive into a situation that is relevant to what we're talking about. Rolik, thank you for asking. We're in the cleansing mode. We're in the cleansing mode. Valdemir says hi. Hello, or Valdemir. Hello, Evie. Hello, hello. Beautiful Kelly and Simon and beautiful Soul Tribe from Solvang, California. Hello. Good morning, Mel. Good morning, Ascending Butterfly. Hello, Kelly and Simon. Thank you. Yes, everybody, thank you. Jennifer, I cleansed my entire home physically and energetically today. I'm here for it. Yeah, I'm starting to are you feeling like that, Simon? Like physically that you want to clear stuff out or move things around?
Yeah, that's where it depends. I think when we talk about clearing and cleansing and things like that, you have to be again. You're your own best teacher. Your own soul is your best teacher. So you will know what needs to be cleansed, whether it's a physical moving around of furniture, cleansing the home, the energetic space, or even just cleansing yourself. You will know what's needed. So what may be right for one person may not be right for the next person, and so on and so forth. So listen to your own self, and that's one of the things on any spiritual journey, especially medium psychics that are developing and things like that. You need to learn your own energy, and your own energy, that silent voice within you, and you try and listen to that, and that can get shouted out or blanked out by life, by your own mind, by various different things. But when you're truly aligned and connected to yourself, you'll know in yourself what doesn't feel right, what you should and shouldn't be doing. So one of the advice I would say to anybody when you are cleansing yourself, don't just think of physical space around you. Think of everything, every aspect, your emotional, your physical, your mental, and your spiritual self, and what part of you doesn't feel right. And again, your own voice will tell you.
For sure, for sure. And I do think that's pertinent. A lot of people are saying I've cleared a lot in my life recently. And I want to say really quick, hello, Michael Zinn. Hello. He's giving us a shout out. Bernie, I cleansed myself last night. There was another person talking about it too, where they were doing energy. Oh yeah, Jennifer, right? She cleansed her home. We just talked about that. And so many hellos. Please know that we do see you. Thank you for your patience, everybody coming in and saying hi. Hello, Lynn, by the way. Hello. I do think that it's a real sensation to, be stirred to a point where you need to cleanse. And everybody is different, right? Like you said, and when that comes up within them. But I think that's an inevitable part of the journey. You get very energy sensitive at a certain point, whether you are energy sensitive every day or if that's a new occurrence for you, and you go, I have to do something about it. So when this came up within you as you were developing, what did you do to help yourself from, your own perspective and your own
Well,
adolescence?
again, how I saw that at the beginning of my journey compared to how I see it now would be two
Yes.
completely different opinions and views on that. Again, you have to listen to your voice, because I can look back in my past and go, I done this or I done that to cleanse or whatever, and it may no longer be serving me now. And this is the point: we have to live in the know. Um, we have to live in the now, because past, present, and future happens all at the same time. But the only time we have is the now, in the moment. Um, and so listen to yourself. And how do I develop? You said just a minute ago, it works with different people. Someone could just be inspired of a change and they can go ahead and just go and do it. Some people, and I can put my hands up to one of these, that I'm one of these that I tend to find I'll keep on making the same mistake, and it keeps recycling until eventually I learn it. And sometimes, on the odd occasion, I'm pushed to a point to do something I don't really want to do, because my own self, my own fears, whatever it may be. But I found spirit, energy, life, whatever you like to call it, has an amazing way to push me in a corner to the point where I have no other options other than to deal with that. And that's my human self resisting that. That's my fears, whatever it may be. So when we talk about cleansing, we're not just talking about the space, because we create that space by our own energy, by who we are, by how we live, what words we use, how we eat, everything else, whether we love who we are, whether we like who we are, whether we've got historical issues. We create that energy in that space around us. So it's good to clear things physically in furniture, having a spring clean, whatever, cleansing around with smudge sticks or whatever is your way of doing things, and that's all great. But don't forget to cleanse yourself. And now, however you wish to do that, or whatever you're drawn to do that, or however which way you're shown to do that, you'll know if it'll feel right to you. You'll know what you've meant to do, and you'll do it. I mean, we've all done things we don't really want to do, and I'm not just talking spiritually, but we've all done things we don't want to do. We resist it, but we know deep down we have to do it. So we have to find that strength, that courage to sort of push yourself through. And sometimes it's not nice. Sometimes it can be really easy. So just take each cleansing, each part of you that that and just take each thing as it comes, as it were. So if you want to deal with a part of you or an outer space or other things, you'll find that things will come your way to deal with that and go along with it. But again, I'll always say, listen to your own voice. And I don't mean your brain. I mean that deep voice down inside, that soul voice, that silent voice deep within you. Don't dismiss that. Don't dismiss those little, I should be doing, and I shouldn't be doing this, I should be doing that, but I don't want to say no because I don't want to upset people. And maybe that's what's meant to happen. And sometimes we have to go through experiences, and sometimes we have to go through certain things to make us wake up, and we come out the other side and, oh yeah, I get it now.
Yes.
I think we can be in a human society. I think we can be programmed to try and avoid bad situations when sometimes we may have to actually deal or experience that bad situation.
Yes, I will. I think that a lot of the ways we've been told to function are not really workable for most people. Like some people, they go through life and the 9 to 5 works for them, or how they've been raised. It works for them. And if it works for you, that's great. That means that you have another area in life that you will work through, but it won't be maybe the, let's say, emotional stuff or spiritual stuff. It's gonna be something. It's gonna be something. That's like the whole thing. It's gonna be something, and some of these things are, just not super obvious. And so, even though our life seems like it's going well, there's always a lesson waiting for us, and we resist a lot of it because we're raised a certain way to go, that's not the lesson you should be worried about. You should be worried about this. And really it mixes us all up. I
Yeah.
want to really quickly say hi to Michael Christopher. He's given us a hello. And Jennifer is in the house. Jennifer Rose. Nancy came on in. Lynn. Hello. They're just wonderful, wonderful friends. Namira, hello. Charlene, hello. Sharon, and there's some people I missed, I'm sure, but I just want to acknowledge you as you're coming in. Oh, hello, Heidi. Hello. So I kind of want to talk about that, Simon. I think that um, you know, with emotions, people are becoming a lot more okay with talking about them, but we are such emotional beings. Some of us are more emotional than others. And really, emotions are a roadmap to what's going on with us. And especially if we're a psychic, especially if we're a medium or a healer, we have to really, really dive in deep and work with what is coming up inside of
Yeah.
us.
The other thing I want to say is, again, we do get programmed that we have to do things in a certain way, to achieve certain things. If I don't do it this way, or even development with mediumship and psychic abilities, we can sit there and be in a development circle and someone say, "Oh, that's the way I have to do it." No, you have to do what feels right to you, what resonates with you. What works for me may not work for somebody else. So I can explain and teach people how I do it, and they may not understand any of it. And that's fine. They may have to go, but once you realize it's about connecting to you and your soul, and once you know your own energy, especially when it comes to mediumship, once you know your own energy, it becomes that much easier to distinguish and be aware of an outside energy, a spirit coming in and connecting to you to give a message, because you can instantly know, oh, that's not my energy, that's whoever that you're picking up. So there is no, as Evie just said, there is no right way. There's not, like we was discussing before we come on. If you go to college to be a plumber, you have to learn it in a certain way to achieve that. Whereas with spiritualism, whether it's medium, psychic, empathy, whatever it may be, it's unique to you and what
Yes.
resonates with you. Now, people say that, what resonates, what does that mean? Well, what feels right to you? How many times we all sat there and someone said something and you go, oh, I really get that, I understand that, that's resonating with you. So as regards development, learning ourselves, cleansing, everything else, again, go with what feels right to you. Like I say, anything I do may fit for me, but it may not fit for you or for the next person, or so on and so forth. And I do tend to find, though, that when I put it out there to life, to spirit, that it they do bring something to me to give me the opportunity to deal with whatever it is I want to deal with, whether it's a personal thing or whatever it may be. So be aware when they say that, say, be careful of what you ask for, because you might just get it, sort of thing. So when you ask for something, just accept the flow of the energy, and that something's coming to coming that way. And so the other thing that worries me and concerns me is this word emotions, and there's this thing about silencing them or cancelling them out, and that's fine when you understand them.
I agree. I
But if
agree.
you're getting a feeling or you're getting an emotional reaction, I'm not a believer that just to be taught to blank that out and to move on. I'm not a lover. If you're not understanding and it's causing you disbobulation or problems, then you need to experience something, or to dive deep into it and experience it to understand it. If you've got an emotion and you understand where it comes from and everything else, then yes, quite move on, do whatever it is you need to do. But I'm also a believer that emotions sometimes can be a good guide if they're used in the correct way, as in, this is showing me something, what does this mean, and what can I do with it, or what do I need to do with it, and so on and so forth. And that's where I think our soul learns. That's when our soul you know can learn more, if that makes sense. Yeah, so,
Yes.
but again, it's unique to everyone.
I think that, right, people talk about like, oh, we shouldn't get in our emotions, logic and having a certain decorum. And I do think those are things that are important because they're another part of life, but emotions are just as important. And if you've actually allowed yourself to feel, so you will have to be a little bit uncouth maybe at times. You will have to be, a little sloppy or uncomfortable, or maybe even lost feeling or out of sorts. Once you find your way, um, you go, oh, exactly what you said, Simon. Oh, I know what this is now. And then when the emotion comes in, you can choose to sit with it, or you can choose to just go, got it, thank you. And then
Exactly.
you can, right?
So you
But
don't
you
get to
can't,
that point where you sit there and go, I got it now. But you don't get to that point until you actually go through whatever it is you go through.
right?
And I
Have
think
to.
we have to be careful as a society as a whole, not just spiritual, but society as a whole, that, oh, just dismiss it. It makes me feel bad. I cut it out of my life. Well, maybe that's meant to be in your life for you to learn this.
Right.
you
I
know.
do think
and 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 I just think that um, we live in a throwaway society the last 30, 40 years, and I'm not just talking spiritualism, it's consumerism, buying the next product and so on and so forth, and that can filter into your lexicon, and we can end up, I'll just get rid of that, I don't want it anymore. Well, or I don't want that situation in my life, or someone brings trouble to your life, negativity, and you go, I don't want it, and we can cut out. Maybe you're meant to experience that,
yes.
you
I
know.
do think
And then, like you say, once you get to that point where you go, "Oh, I get what it was all about now, and what your lessons were from it," and all. I'm not saying you're cured or you're healed, or it's just an awareness that you will now move forward and get better at that and stronger at that, because not everybody's perfect, and we all stumble and rumble and make our mistakes. And I'm completely put my hands up on that. That I resist, I fight back, I can be negative myself, and that's my human battle with my soul battle, and I understand the two. And it's like Jennifer just said, suppressing emotions create more fragmentation. Couldn't agree more with that. If you suppress those emotions, suppress your past experiences without understanding them and why, and then going through a process of letting go at the same time, um yeah, you can end up, you're right, you can end up fragmenting yourself in so many things that it permeates into other parts of your life, and you won't realize that it's a problem until you start dealing with this, and or whatever it is you may be. And then you start to see, oh my god, you know, that behavior of mine that I learned because of that situation, or whether that affects that part of my life and that part of my life and that part, and so on and so forth. So I do highly recommend, when people are lost or they don't know where to go, find somebody or something, and find that strength in you. Put your big boy's pants on, or your big girl's pants, or whatever, and say, right, I need to face this, I need to deal with this, and go forward. And your soul will let you know, even though your brain going, I don't want to do this, I don't like it, I don't like how I feel, but there'll be a deep feeling in your soul that you just know, that's what I need to do.
yes, and you mentioned sometimes we, you know, don't want to do it. Sometimes we run from it, and sometimes we recoil, even though we know we need to do it. But right, the suppressing, I love what Jennifer said, like summing it up. Suppressing all that, it leads to fragmentation, and it leads to even mental fragmentation. We think
Yes.
like, oh, well, I just carry on, and these emotions, they're a little bit too much. I think I understand what they're about, even though you're not even exploring them. You're just like, I think I understand what they're about. But what happens is there's a whole other well of information that you're just like, not really needed. And your mind starts fragmenting. Your other parts of your life starts fragmenting. So there has to be, right, showing up with these different heavy lessons, the light, the dark, the easy, the hard, the all the crap within life. It's really an invitation to go, hey, you get to learn about yourself. It's pretty important.
Mm. Another good indication of something you may need to look into and deal with is repetition. If the same problem keeps coming back over time and again and again and again, that's life's way of saying that's what you need to look at. So that's a good sign for anybody who's maybe confused or don't know what to go or what to do. Actually sit down and look at your own life. And another good thing that does help is write it down. Write as much stuff down as you can. I can be lazy with that, but there's times when I do. I sit down, and the amount of things I've realized because I've written them down and then read them and gone, okay, because you see it from a different angle. But be aware of the early signs. If something keeps repeating, if a pattern keeps showing itself, that's what you need to look at.
I think the patterns are important. A lot of times people will go, I keep thinking this, I keep feeling this. I'm getting some signs. What does this mean? And you have to dive into it, whether you go and do the thing, or you feel the feelings, or you meet the fear. If it keeps repeating, life is again inviting you, even if uncomfortable, to do something about that in some way. And uh something just flew out of my head, but basically Yeah, it flew out of my head what I was gonna say.
No worries.
It's interesting. June says, "I always run," and that's okay to acknowledge again, it's okay to acknowledge we feel this way, but
Yeah.
sometimes we run from even acknowledging that we run,
Yes. Yes.
other than, yeah, just like, "I
Yeah.
happen to do it." It's just like, acknowledge that.
One thing also, don't confuse. It's just come into my head just a moment. About and people don't like this term, but I'll use it. Mental health. Um, I find I'll always advise anybody who's struggling or whatever, go and see qualified professional. I've got no issues with that, and that's what people should do. Or go and find someone that help. Again, it'll be unique. But I also find that again we can't erase our emotions because they're a fact of who we are. That's part of the human experience, and I do feel that emotions are a good indication. They're a good sign for us. They're a good letting us know good, bad, indifferent, or whatever, and where we need to go instead of just reacting to them. And that's one of my things that I have to do is learn how to not react to certain emotions and things like that. But in the process of finding that out, I find out other things about me, and it's about treating the cause and not the symptom. So emotional things, mental health issues and things like that could be the symptoms of an underlying problem. Now we're talking about therapy and that, and we're psychic and spiritual and think, well, how does that affect mediumship and psychic abilities and things like that? And I've seen it many a time over the years. You know, very good mediums, very good people with good hearts and everything else can give a message, but it can be tainted, for want of a better expression, by that own medium's own experiences.
Sure.
And then suddenly you're not quite giving the message that spirit wanted or wanted
Sure.
to get across. So we have to deal with our own reactions. We have to deal with our own emotions, our own, whatever experiences we have. So when we do give a message from spirit or we're reading someone, we're reading or giving a message that's just what we're being given. We're not adding any of our color to it, say, because our color could suddenly make it a completely different picture. Whereas I find with my mediumship, if I just give what I get, it's not it's not for me to make sense of it. I give the information, and if that person goes, I know exactly what you mean, that's it. I've got the message across. I don't need to keep reaffirming it or trying to create more evidence just to point out. I say, does that make sense to you? Yes, it does. I'll then move on to the next bit of the message because it's not meant to make sense to me. Like if it's not like if you give a reading, Kelly, or anything else, you may understand what the message is, but it's not meant to make sense to you because it's for that person, it's not for you. But if we haven't at least found a balance or come to terms with our own experiences in our own lives and our own feelings and emotions and things like that, that when we do give a message, we can make sure it's a pure message and it's not contaminated by my own experience. I'm not adding anything to it.
I think there's right. We all have filters. We're humans. Things are bound to come up, and that's why it's really important to talk to the sitter. Like, do you understand this? And
Yes.
you'll kind of learn a little bit about the filter coming through really checking in with your sitter. I do believe that. But a huge thing is our nervous system as mediums, as healers, as psychics is will just not be ready with some of the information. It will get distracted, it will get overwhelmed, it will get maybe even angry or sad. If you have not processed those emotions within your body to a certain degree within yourself, your body is going to not know what to do with that. And it's not even a conscious thing. It's just all of a sudden you're just like, whoa, I'm not comfortable, even though I know that this is not me.
Hmm. Well, something Charlene just said, and she's actually spot on about that. That's how I know, again, the amount of times I've done demonstrations, given readings, so on and so forth. And literally, as soon as you finish, I can't remember 90%. I'll get flashes, but I can't
Sure.
remember half of what I said because, like Charlene said, it's not, they're not for us. That, it's a memory, a thought that's come from spirit. They're not my own, so I'm not going to remember a lot of what I say, because it's not mine. It's not a memory to keep hold of. And so she's spun. It's one of the signs I actually say to people when you're doing mediumship. If you find yourself afterwards, as the longer time goes after you've given a reading, the less and less and less you remember of it. That's a good indication that it came directly from spirit. So that's a good point, actually, Charlene. It's one of the points. If you don't remember what you've said, or struggle to remember what you said, then that's a good chance that it's come from spirit directly. So
Exactly. When you're I'm curious, Simon, too, with this angle. So, like, when you're doing platform, a part of you needs to be awake,
yes,
like, when you're, like, one-on-one, or if you just happen to be connected to a person, away you go sometimes, and you're just like, "Oh, well, here, this was meant for you." But
yeah,
when you're doing platform for, like, an hour, and I think it's important for the audience to think like this too, then you have to stay awake, and then, like, truly awake, because you have to look at your audience and individual
mhm.
people and right? And then all that of the work we talked about with the emotions, and are you comfortable, and are you okay with managing the different energies, then that really comes up.
I agree when you're doing the dems and the platform. Yeah, be awake. That's part of the job. I'm on about when you finish. It's all those what you've just said for the last hour or two, whatever, melts away, and like Charlene said, never remembers. Now, being awake when I'm doing mediumship, I can be saying something, giving a message to someone, and halfway through me saying it, I get a little feeling like, no, that's not right. And
Right.
I'll often, not often, but there's the odd occasion I'll stop and I go, oh, wait there, I'm going to reword it. And I'm saying the same thing, but I'm rewording it. Once I've reworded it, the person I've given the reading, the message to, go, I know exactly what you mean now. And they said, when you first started talking, I was like, I'm not understanding what they're saying. But then when I changed my word, because I was aware of the energy, and as I was saying it, spirit going, no, that's not quite right. And in my own way, everyone again is unique. You find your own way. But I had I get a little knot in my stomach that just go, meh, like that. And it's just like saying, that's not quite right, and oh, okay. And I will stop myself in the middle of that. And I'll say, that does actually what I'm saying doesn't feel right. Let me reword it. And I'll reword it. And then the person goes, I know what you're saying now.
Absolutely.
Because I've listened to myself. And I don't mean as in listen to myself with my own experiences. I'm on about, as I said at the beginning of this, learning your own energy, going through all your going through all your past, your history, everything else, learning your own energy, why you react the way you do, why you feel the way you do, all of that, rightly, wrongly, doesn't matter. Learn it all, because then when something happens while you're performing mediumship and you go, oh, that don't feel right, your body, your own soul will tell you, I've got that slightly wrong. And it's not wrong as in I'm a failure. It's like
No, you
the
just go into
worst,
the energy different.
the worst form of data transfer, sending information from one point to another, is human speech. They reckon that
Sure.
we only get scientifically about 30% across of what we want to say. Because how many times we talk to someone and we're getting frustrated because they're not understanding us? Is
For
it then
sure.
that's the problem, or is it the way that we communicate? Now, if you can communicate with words but combine emotion and feelings and thought with it, you'll get a more enriched. So that 30% data transfer has suddenly gone up to 60%. And things like that. So sometimes we can get things across in the wrong way because we've used the wrong words. We've pictured it again, like I said, with our based on our own experience and so on. But because I know my body energy,
Sure.
how it feels, what I'm vibrating at, when I'm giving a message and I know it's correct and it's right, I will feel it's correct and it's right. When I'm giving a message that's wrong or not quite right, and I've got a few words wrong, my body will let me know I've
Yes.
got that slightly off mark. And because I'm aware of that, and I go, oh, okay, okay, what was I meant to say? And then okay, I'll reword it, and I'll reword it, and then suddenly that person I'm reading completely understands the message. This isn't a perfect science, and a good friend of mine always says, he said, "Spirit never get it wrong. It's us as medium that gets it wrong." That
Sure.
doesn't mean to say we're a failure. That doesn't mean to say we've done it wrong. It's just we need to be aware that we're infallible. We're not always going to get it perfectly correct every single time. So be aware of that. So if something doesn't feel right, don't be embarrassed as the medium. So, oh, I've got this wrong, and don't want to say that, but continue with it because your ego won't allow you to say you got it wrong. But actually, I think people respect you more if you go, whoa, 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 hang on, I'll reword that. That don't feel right, and then reword it. Yeah, I could take it, and you get a much more accurate reading because of that. That person then will open up to you more, and I don't mean by speaking, because I always say yes and no, nothing more than that, because I want it to be
Right,
as clear as I
right.
can. But you know yourself, Kelly, suddenly you feel that they open up, their energy opens up, and then you get a flood of information come through. But we all are guarded sometimes. So all I'm saying is, again, learn yourself, learn your own energy, go through whatever experiences you need to deal with any past issues, to learn as much as you can about yourself. So the spiritual journey isn't just about learning to be a medium, learning to be a psychic. It's all about yourself and you.
Yes, I think that in readings, I mean, everyone has a different viewpoint, maybe, on this, but I think you treat a reading like you do life a little bit. And there's, moments where you're going to be like, I feel really strongly when I say this, or I'm not sure about this, or wait a second, you're very honest with how the energy is coming through. And sure, there's some days where it's going to be like really, really connected, and other days you're just going to be very, very honest. Like, this is how it is, just like every day is different. Um, I I do think within this work we're made to help people, and so
Mm.
we have to understand how we helped ourselves. Not that we're fully helped, not that like we figured it out. We figured out parts of obstacles that were causing us pain and problems, and we've made tweaks along the way. So we've gained a lot of knowledge, but we had to confront all that difficulty. And in return, we can acknowledge very comfortably the difficulty in other people, because we're like, oh, I know what that sadness feels like. I know what that anger feels like. I know what that desperation feels like. And not because we've experienced the exact thing, it's just the emotion rings true. And I do think emotion is so huge for a psychic medium and healer. Like, the last thing I'll say on it is, when I'm reading, I'm very visual, and feeling based. And sometimes I just get knowings where I don't have feelings. Sure, that happens. But if I see a picture and if I don't have a knowing or a feeling connected to it, and if I just see the picture, it could be the clearest picture in the world. Like, I'll get somebody's, eye color, hair color, or position of what it could be. Sure, that's great. But I won't know what to do with it. I'll be like, and what am I supposed to do with this? The emotion guides us. The
Mm.
emotion guides us, and it can take something totally insignificant and all of a sudden give it the exact need of the person.
Well,
It's
I
so
agree.
important.
But it's something you just said just there when you said about what is it? I feel so strongly about this. If someone that I want to say this and say that, that's happened to me where I feel so strongly. But what I found on the odd occasion is I've done that. I feel so strongly about this, and I spoke up, and it's actually turned out it's created the situation that it's then turned out and shown me that what I thought felt strongly about was actually me. It wasn't how I thought or whatever. It could be.
Well, like a strong, like,
It could be
I'm
a
in the
program. No,
flow,
what I'm saying
right?
is it could
Like,
be
I'm
a
in the
programming
flow.
thing.
But right, we don't.
Yeah.
Right, right, not
and
our
and and,
personal.
and it's habitual. We don't know any different, etc. And then later on in life, that programming, whatever behavior it is, or whatever thought or perception we was taught or led to believe at whatever point in our life, that later on it no longer serves us. And I'm saying, well, I feel so strong, and then suddenly I'm having to wake up to the fact that, hang on, that's my accountability, it's my responsibility, that's my emotion, and I'm projecting that onto somebody else, maybe, and so first thing is take accountability of ourselves. There's
Sure.
things that happen to us. I understand that. But I also am a believer of that when things happen to us or we experience life, we've put ourselves in that position for that to happen. Even when bad things happen to us, yes, that bad thing happened to us, but we put ourselves in that position for that bad thing to happen to us. Now, again, it's not about blame. It's not about this. I personally feel it's about accountability, being authentic, looking at yourself. That's when we go back into behaviors and learned behaviors and emotions and feelings and things like this. And this is where mediumship and all that becomes very difficult, because what we're talking about is being able to separate your own to the messages you're giving, because giving you just an example. What if you're giving a message to somebody that had a very similar experience to yourself many years ago and it still affects you today? How are you going to give that message without it emotionally affecting you? Do you
Well,
see
you
the
got
you see what I mean? So
I mean, no, you can. I think you can remove yourself, but it
you
makes it
can, that's
more.
what I'm saying, but that's what
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
to
I'm
learn.
just saying you have to
Yes.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I think right, when someone comes to you, like, you as the medium and the psychic are making sure you're not in your own energy. You
Mm.
just your body's just being stimulated as
Yes.
it touches their energy.
Yes.
You're the tool and
Yeah.
something whistles and you're like, "Oh, I know that whistle," and you make sure that, it's just in response to what's going on with them. So
Mm.
right. We constant we have to put ourselves so intimately in the equation as developing intuitives, but then when we are working, we have to take ourselves so much out of the equation.
Yeah. That's when it
Yeah,
comes to when I talk about energy, because I love working in energy, but energy itself is neutral. It's what we
yeah.
do with it that gives it a positive or a negative slant to it, or an effect that makes it positive or negative. And that's what we have to do as mediums, as you were just saying, find that neutral point, remove ourselves, our emotional selves, and you saying it is possible. It's very possible, because every medium has to do it. You've had to do it. I've had to do it. I still find myself thinking, when I feel that, I have to remove myself again. So it's a constant thing. But eh, it's, I'll be honest with you, the spiritual journey I've had all my life. I had experiences as a child all the way through, and like my bio says, about 12 years ago, give or take. That's when I decided to start doing this properly and the way I have. And it's been one hell of a journey, and I didn't realize I was on that journey until I consciously made that decision 12 years ago, to understand me and all what was going on with the various experiences that I had in my life. But it's that, um, I didn't realize the journey that it would take me on. And I say this to anybody that I try and help develop. One of the first things I say is, have you done this before, etc., etc.? Because please understand, this will be one of the hardest, toughest, and darkest journeys that you'll take, because
Yes.
you know yourself, Kelly, spirit energy in the universe have an amazing way of taking you to your darkest spots, but you have to do that. And you can't avoid that. To be truly aligned with yourself, that's something that you can't avoid. So anybody that's on this spiritual journey, we always talk about love and light and unconditional love, but the journey itself is to teach you that. But it's going to be one of your hardest, darkest journeys that you'll ever take, and be prepared for that. Be prepared to take on some dark spots that maybe you don't want to go down.
We're in the business of awareness.
Mm.
Sure, we're not trying to get our own awareness in entangled while we're being aware of something else, or someone else. But we're in the business of awareness, and to learn how to do that, we have to be aware of a lot.
Mm.
And this life is, in a lot of ways, uncomfortable. It's very comforting in some places. Absolutely, it's very beautiful in some places. But right, and the energy that we work in, it's subtler. It has a different nature, so it really match sparks a lot of different ways of living. Because when you start to live spiritually, not because like we're trying to be holier than thou. It's just the energy quickens, it changes. Our awareness is different, our sensations are different, and then suddenly we have to process a lot of things that we have been you know
Yeah.
this perspective we've been given. Don't worry about that, you need to focus on your goal, you need to get ahead. Well, with the awareness, we have to focus on a lot of things, and we have to be aware of what we're meeting, so the lessons that we're given, we feel them deeper, we feel them stronger, we're affected more deeply. When we go through things, we accumulate more cumulative understanding, and it's rougher. I really believe that if a medium is active, a psychic is active, a healer is active within their work, their life is probably much more difficult on average, because their energy is primed to rake in all that awareness to continue to be of service to
I'm
people.
laughing because that's so true. I
Yeah,
think every medium, psychic, and healer, and any spiritual worker I know, their life is difficult. And I don't mean that it's any less than anybody else, because there's always someone worse off than ourselves. But yes,
for
on an
real.
emotional, mental, and spiritual level, and everything else, it does seem to be more difficult. But also, do you find, Kelly? I don't know if you found this, but I found this once I became aware and I was looking at things and looking at myself and going through all the processes that you go through, you suddenly wake up and you suddenly start seeing it everywhere. And I can walk down the street and, I can be comfortable in my own energy and things like that. But then I can see things like the negative in society. So you see it more, you suddenly see it everywhere. And then that can create another wave of emotions and thoughts and feelings that you have to process and deal with, because I was no different before I'd done any of this spiritual work. I was just a human getting on with my life in my own little world, you know, not understanding that there were times I could be negative or nasty people without realizing it, or, or just being blinded and unaware of other people. And so that can build up a frustration in you as well. When you see that, when you become aware, you suddenly see everything. So, but again, that's part of the process, and it's all about ego, whether it's human, spiritual ego, whatever, but it's all part of the process. But once you go through these things, one thing I will say, this sounds all doom and gloom and negative to anyone's that listening, and I know there's a few people that are saying that they've had hard times and things like that. One thing I will say, that each state, each thing that I get through and I move forward, it's worth it. Deep down,
Yes.
it's worth it. And each time I'm a different person. But saying that, I'm a different person in this second now as what I was 45 minutes ago when we started. We got to understand about, when people say about living in the now, they mean right this now, this second. Who are you? What are you? You're safe, you're this, you're that, whatever. And understand that past, present, and future all happen at the same time. So past memories, thoughts, and experiences can affect us in the now. The future can affect us in the now because we worry and fear about the future. So it can affect how we are now. So if we remove the fears and the worries of the future, and also heal and deal with our past issues and things like that, we can be completely in alignment with ourselves, our authentic self in the now.
I do think that, we start to then understand how to do the work,
Yes.
more and more. And I think the world, you could give that a metaphor as the human body. Something's disheveled in the human body.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, my shoulder doesn't really work, or my
Yeah.
my ankle's really jacked up, and like you could say your ankle's like the United States, like wow, the United States is really jacked up right now. It needs a lot of healing. It needs a lot of. It's not up to speed, right? My body is not up to speed, and and there's a lot of parts within us and within the world that are really not up to speed, and there's so many areas I'm not up to speed with, but in the areas I am up to speed, or a little bit more down the pipeline, I can go, whoa, that is not good. Let's not do more of that. That's not the way to do it. And we're really behind in a lot of things.
Yes.
And we have such a finite life with this, current awareness expressing itself in the moment. And then I believe, we pass and then we pop into another life wherever we are. But we always feel like there's like what can we do with this time that we have? What can we do with this time that we have? And there's so much that needs to be worked with.
Yeah. But you mentioned about the world and energy and everything else like that. As a species, we've advanced so far with technology, materialistic stuff, things like that, the physical form, even the mental form. But I think the emotional and the spiritual is playing catch up. And we've advanced so much as humans that we forget the emotion, we forget the spiritual side of us. And sometimes life will make you pause. Sometimes we think, well, my life's not moving forward. Well, maybe in this moment it's not meant to. Maybe we're supposed to take this time to emotionally process things, to learn, to heal, whatever it may be, and allow our soul to catch up.
Yes, I used to think, I'm using the word think a lot. I used to feel, I used to kind of process things uh, very much in that vein of I would sit in my room a lot and I would just like think and meditate or just kind of process energy, be with myself a lot. And it's great. It did a lot of good things for me, but on sometimes the outside, people would be like, "Well, what are you doing?" And I'm just like, "I'm working on myself." And there wasn't a lot to show for it at times because I was doing so much inner stuff. And so I knew it was helpful. I knew it was needed. And I really did feel like I was growing and moving and shifting. But yeah, like uh we have to shift different parts of ourselves. So if someone feels like I'm not doing much, I promise you're doing a lot
Mm.
because you're already in the consciousness of like, you struggle, you're moving, you're struggling between am I doing this right? This feels so different. This feels so okay, cool. You're doing something different.
Mm.
And all those uncomfortable big emotions or even small emotions, that's movement. That's a
Growth.
lot, I think.
It's growth.
Yeah.
Growth is always uncomfortable. When we all talk about taking yourself out of your comfort zone and things. And when we're taking ourselves out of our comfort zone, because our brain um, um, doesn't like change and it likes to everything to be the same, and that's fine if you're happy with that, but you won't move forward. So sometimes we have to go out our comfort zone, we have to be uncomfortable, we have to go to this where I don't feel safe or whatever, sometimes to grow. But again, take each situation as unique, because obviously if there's safety issues involved, then obviously it's a different ball game altogether. So I'm just talking about, again, if you take yourself out of your comfort zone, you know, take your time. You don't have to rush things. There's this need as well in the human side. Everything has to be done now, now, now. And I'm the worst one for patience. So I'm one of these. If I want to do, let's get on and do it, and hope it'll go away, and or hope it will be dealt with, and so on and so forth. But sometimes we have to push ourselves, and to push ourselves we have to go into those uncomfortable feelings, because it's like you're going into an area, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know where I'm going. Yeah, because you haven't done this before. So it, you know do it, see how you feel, see how you come, and the more you do it the better you get at it. Like you just said, Kelly, just a minute ago, the more we do it the better we get at things, and the more um the easier it is to deal with things. So if the similar situation arises again in the future, you'll go, I've already done this before, I know what to do. So but we have to learn that, and I always think, growth is uncomfortable and all that. I thought, oh no, it doesn't have to be. It should be happy experience and stuff like that. And sometimes it can be, but a lot of the time growth is uncomfortable.
I
And
agree.
and I think we have a fear that anything that's negative or uncomfortable we want to avoid or run away from, or society has programmed us to believe to remove it. If it makes you feel bad, get rid of it. But maybe you're meant to feel like that.
I there was some kind of quote that I heard the other day, and it was about the mind, and the mind is built for us to survive. And that makes sense, but to really think about it for a second, because everything we think and believe or feel uncomfortable with, large lots of times it will maybe hurt us in the immediate moment, or a week or a month we're just like, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I feel crappy. I feel crummy. I feel, oh, this is really stressing me out. And the body will show the stress.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Um, but then the body learns and the mind learns and goes, "Oh, this is okay now." And and really, why are we so keen on surviving still?
Mm.
Why are we so hung up on surviving? Oh, I don't like that. But is it good for you? Okay, well then we're going to have to go through this. And I wish we could congratulate people like a lot more, like, "Wow, you look really tired. You look really wrecked. What are you working on? You must be really growing." I wish we would have like more of kind of that. Like, wow, there's something
Yeah.
around the other corner. Like,
I-
wow, this is good.
It goes along with some. You're exactly what you say. It goes along with something I've said quite a few years now. We never change the world by jabbing a finger in someone's face, telling them what they should and shouldn't be doing because it's different to what we do. That's not how we change the world. How we change the world is changing ourselves, being the inspiration, having that change of mindset, and getting out there and living the best life. And then people look at you and go, how do they change themselves? And they go, how did you do it? And then that will inspire that person to change and everything else. So this is why I
It's
say the journey is about ourselves and what Jennifer's our nervous systems can adapt. That's what I'm saying. We can be in
true.
nervous heightened states and things like that. And if you can go through the process and learn how to deal with that and learn to grow and move forward and everything else, that's how we change the world. That's how we make it a better place to live, because people will look at you and they go, how are they happy and how are they living their best life? I want a piece of that. And then that will inspire people how to do it, not by telling people where they went wrong.
I mean, it's so important because people look at, let's say, Michael Jordan. I'm like, going back, or something like LeBron James. I'm talking about American basketball, or Cristiano Ronaldo. Just athletes, and they go, "Oh, I wish I could be." They're so successful. They're so this. They're so that. Or like your favorite singer, anything you think is amazing, and you're just like, that's a pinnacle or that's a goal, and you're like, if only that. Well, if only that comprises of they had to work so hard, and that's great. And so that means they had to change so much and they
Yeah.
had to be so uncomfortable. And they were willing to put up with uncomfortabilities that normal people do not want to confront. And so that's where they are.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely
I,
spot on with that. Actually, you good examples with, how many sacrifices did they make? Like you say, Michael Jordan or Cristiano Ronaldo or whatever, to get to the top of their game.
and
What did they sacrifice? They sacrificed today for a better tomorrow.
for
And
sure.
that's what they did. So nights out drinking when you're 18, 19 and all that go out the window, eating the wrong foods because you love a pizza, go out the window. They sacrifice things now. And I think we do we do struggle to sacrifice things. I do it. We all resist. We don't like doing things we don't want to do, but that's how we get it wrong, because we're seeing it as something I don't want to do, rather than, like you say, possibly sacrificing something for a better tomorrow.
Right. And knowing that, right, keeping, how can I put this? Once you have the intention what that better tomorrow is, or once you know what you want, as long as you go through the fire, you're going to be able to get that. And whether you get exactly that or you get something that is going to be just as gratifying because your soul goes, this is important to me. And the vision can evolve, it can change, but it's the focal point to lead you to where you need to go. And there's all these obstacles along the way. And right, like some people think like this for the sacrifices, like, oh, I have to lay myself down and I have to it's just like a lot of it is very active choices that are really, really uncomfortable. So instead of giving, you give things up, absolutely, but at the same time, you are cultivating,
Mhm.
you're chiseling, and you're chipping away, and you're active. So you're passive with letting things go that don't serve you, but you're active and trying to go and get and understand of, this journey you're on of what am I gonna have to do to go get that? And that's so like people are like, I failed. I must have not done it right. Like, no, just you hit the pause button. Literally start tomorrow. Literally start again in 2 weeks. The game's on pause. That's it. You didn't fail. Just the game's on pause. And this level's really hard. That's okay.
I understand completely. And has put another good comment there about avoidance accomplishes nothing. And
It's
that
true.
that that's so true. Um, we can avoid things to begin with because it could be a test to ourselves. Is this something I'm meant to deal with or not? And you can avoid it, and then it'll come back. Okay, I'm meant to deal with this. So I agree. Don't avoidance isn't. It's exactly that. You're avoiding something. And let's be honest. Whenever if we take that same principle with any process, whether we're building an engine, baking a cake, or doing spiritualism, if we miss one of the steps or want to avoid it or whatever, it's not going to go as well as what we hoped. And then afterwards, we're going, "Oh, I wish that was better," or "I could have built that better," or "Why didn't you?" "Oh, it's 'cause I avoided that bit." And then we also then become fragmented again, like it was mentioned earlier about emotional fragmentation and stuff like that. If we're avoiding stuff, then we can also uh, will cause ourselves even more problems because we're avoiding things. And then when things don't work out how we want them to be, we go, "Oh, why is this happening to me?" "Well, look at what you did." "Oh, yeah, I didn't do that bit." Well, that's why.
I think it's so important to, you know, when we have the opportunity, we don't always have the opportunity. Sometimes life truly is just happening to us and we're doing the best we can.
Yeah.
But when we have the opportunity to go, yes, I will do this, or no, I won't do this, it's okay to within the avoidance, it's okay to say, this is not the right relationship for me. This is not the right schedule for me. This is not the right job for me. This is not the right friendship for me. This is not the right health regimen for me. It's okay to be like, I know. And so your consciousness goes, no. And then it chooses something else rather than, right, the suppression and I can't tend to this. It upsets me. And then we have to put awareness on it, whether we like it or not, and then make that choice when we can. Angela, like she's talking about like health wise, she says, I suffer from fibromyalgia, neck pain. It's hard to live with, but I still push myself to get out the door. Um, yes, and I can only imagine. I would say within your energy, as we keep the energy going and you keep being brave and you keep showing up, um, as you move forward instead of pushing, because you're using the words pushing, I suffer and I push, and that's a real experience. Can we move that every time we move, we move towards again finding something that is a better fit for soothing the fibromyalgia, whether it's the right doctor or the right herb or the right food or the right whatever, again, regimen.
Again, this
Um,
is what I go back to the beginning. Know your own energy, because when you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, there'll be part of your body that will tell you, that silent voice, whether it's your stomach, your heart, wherever it is in your body, there'll be a part of you saying, "I shouldn't be doing this." And it's
yes.
that we dismiss because our brain goes, "Oh, well, I want to do this." And there'll be part of you. But I'm a smoker. I shouldn't smoke. I know I shouldn't smoke. My whole body screen, but do you know what I mean? But I still smoke. And people, why do you smoke? And forget about addiction and stuff like that. I know it's wrong, but I choose to do that, and I take the consequences for that. But what I'm saying is, it's that same thing. You know, if you're doing something and you know you shouldn't be doing it, or it's not in an alignment with your energy or whatever, you will know.
I do believe in our mind, and it's very easy to do. You could have the best doctor, you could have the best again protocol, and you're like, why isn't this working for me? And it's just like no matter if you have all the things and you're like, I did this, I know this has worked for 10 years, this has worked for a year. If you're still in pain, there has to be a tweak. Your energy is communicating for you to change something slightly
Yeah,
and to lean into that, and there's so much knowledge within the world, there's so much wisdom in the world. Something will drop in your mind or your left pocket, or a situation will come to you to improve your life.
I
You
agree.
know, I don't know always what can change, but I know something can always change a little bit for the better, and so we can have a big change or we could have a small change. And um yeah, that's what I just say to you, Angela, when you say that. It's just like within your consciousness, within your soul, as you are on the healing with your fibromyalgia and learning about it, um, as you move forward, um, say, I'm looking for answers so I can do this with it. What do you want to do with it? Because it's in you, and so let's work with that energy. Let's give it awareness. What do you want to do with it?
I just want to refer to what Jeanette has put, but would that not take all the treats and the pleasures out of life? What we're discussing, no, I don't think it would, Jeanette, because I think pleasures and treats are unique to you. And what I mean by that is if something gives you pleasure, that's unique to you. So you enjoy that. Treats and pleasures to me are a unique thing, individual thing. What I like, you're not going to like. What you like, maybe other people are not going to like, and so on and so forth. So I don't think it removes the treats and the pleasures. I understand why you asked that question, because I've sort of asked that question myself over the years. Are we ending up towards going down the line where we're emotionally numb? We don't have any emotions anymore because we've dealt them. It doesn't eradicate emotions. You still get desires. I understand what you're saying, but your cigarettes give you a treat and pleasure. I understand, Jeanette. That's why I carry on smoking, because it's that balance. Again, it's what works for you. And I'm aware that I've made that choice to smoke, not somebody else or whatever. I take that my responsibility. So I'm aware of the consequence. It's the same as it's about freedom of choice. It's what's right for you, what's wrong for you. Deep down, you'll know what's right and wrong for you. And I always say, just follow your heart, follow that silent voice in you, follow that soulful voice, and pretty much you can't go wrong if you listen to that.
Yes, I do think so. And Angela, it's just us always continuing to manifest what will help us then next with whatever we're with within life. And with Jeanette, I do think like no, pleasure is so important. It's so important because it like it's the singing of the soul. And so the things that make us feel really, really good, I we have to understand why. We have to understand why, because a lot of times it's not just because I like the way it tastes, or or I like this scene or this art or this movie, or it's what does that invoke within your soul. So whatever we're doing that makes us really, really happy, it's giving us something for our soul. And then as we understand what that is on a deeper level, we can go, great, I'm looking for this. So like if a movie makes you really, really happy, like a certain like I'm gonna say like a beautiful sunset in a movie with all its reds and oranges makes you really happy, and you're just like, well, I just really love the creativity that it brings out when I watch, the way that the movie was shot, or the color red has always, grounded me and made me feel alive. And it's just like, okay, so you're seeking to feel more alive or more grounded or more creative. What other things bring that out? It's not just the movie. It's
Yeah.
not just that one type of pleasure.
Yes.
It's I would say like that gives us power because we go, oh, I'm seeking this energy, not this
Yeah.
thing. So where can I go get that energy somewhere else?
Yeah. I understand. I understand
Uh,
completely.
yeah, yeah. If there's a lot of questions that came in. Is there one that really draws your
No,
eye? And
I
then
was just looking at various things, and a lot of people were saying, even like you said, um, Heidi said, true happiness can only come from within. Seek what sets your soul on fire. I am a believer on if it's something you want to do, if it's something that inspires you, if it's something that lifts you up, and it makes you happy, go for it. You've got to go for it. It's just because someone disagrees with you doesn't mean to say you shouldn't do it. Now, that doesn't also mean that you should go and do something and upset somebody because you've gone and done it. There should be a balance there, but weigh it up. What am I doing? Am I hurting anybody? Am I harming anybody by doing this? No, I'm not. I'm just doing what I feel I want to do. And if someone then gives you negativity because of what you're doing, then that's their problem. But if you're doing something that makes you happy, but it's harming somebody else in some way, and I don't mean just by being offended or words or whatever, but I mean, harm in some sort of way, then maybe question yourself, maybe ask yourself those questions. But I'm a believer of, if it makes you happy, that's what you should be doing, because when you're happy and you're living what you feel you want to do, then you are, to a certain extent, being your true authentic self. Now, when we change and start living that way, we may lose friendships, relationships, people, whatever, because they may not like this new energy, or they say, oh, you've changed or whatever. But anybody that new that comes in will like you for who you are. So you don't need to change again, if that makes sense. But that's part of life. There's always going to be fluidity. There's always going to be change. Who I am right now in this second is going to be different to who I am in the next minute, in the next hour, in the next week. There's always change. There's always flowing. There's always fluidity. And if we're constantly trying to stop change, or just trying to create comfortability, we won't grow and we will not move forward.
I think so. Like the soul knows what it needs, and it's very perplexing. There's a lot of people because we're human. We're human. There's a lot of people with self-destructive behaviors. Like for me, I stay up too late. I stay up too late. That's how I deal with like stress, and I don't even try to choose it. I have to be more aware of how I feel connected to the energy to understand what I'm truly choosing. Because it's like I don't even sometimes experience the choice of, I just go, oh my God, it's so late. So
Yeah.
something I'm healing and bringing into my awareness, right? So I can grow. And but that's something self-destructive to me in life. And not that this is a one size fit all statement, but I know other people who have vices and they like the vices and their energy isn't altered a whole lot because that vice is still doing something for their energy. But if I know people who, let's say, really don't want to do what they're doing, and it's the smallest thing ever, and they go, I don't want to do this, but it's no big deal. Oh my gosh, it creates depression. They spiral out. It completely
I've
derails
done
their
that.
health because their soul was like, don't do that, even though it's no big deal. Do not
Yeah,
do that.
I agree.
Um,
I completely agree. I've done that myself. I don't want to do something, it's small, whatever, but it's no big deal. I'll do it anyway. But that little bit of negativity in me not builds up over time, and eventually you can have a problem, and it all just stems from you continually doing this little small thing that deep down you don't really want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
We need to really honor our compass. Jeanette saying, but staying up late brings you peace and time to yourself. So why not stay up? Yes, but my body is a finite vessel and it can only take so much.
yeah.
So it inhibits,
Mm.
it
You've got to
inhibits.
I agree with you there on that one. I totally agree with Kelly. We've got to understand we are a physical form, we're a mental form, we're an emotional form, and we're a spiritual form. we can't forget about the physical. So as Benno from Oz says, sleep is important. I understand also what Jeanette says. By staying up late, it can give you peace and time to yourself. Well, what I would say to that is then, with respect, I don't know your life, Jeanette, but if that's what's happening and you're not sleeping, then you need to find and rearrange your life to find the time at a better time that is for yourself so you can find peace. Make time for yourself. You are important. This is a self-love thing as well. As much as spiritualism is about unconditional love and light and helping people, first on the list is you every single time. If you're not right, how can you help others? So on that, I would say sleeping, eating healthily, all of those things. If we want to be the perfect life, do all those things. I don't. I still eat chocolate. I still smoke. Because they give me pleasures, but I'm aware of it. I'm not going to sit here and go, why has this happened to me? Well, because you eat too much chocolate, Simon. Well, I'm aware of that. I'm not going to sit here and say, I've put on all this weight and everything else. Why this happened to me, and blaming an outward thing when I know it's chances are it's because it's me, and I think we always look outward for the answer when it's ourselves. And if we are willing to do that and we're having problems, then are we getting enough sleep? Are we eating healthy? Are we actually looking after ourselves? Do we actually like who we are mentally, emotionally? We have to put ourselves first. Once we do that, and not in a selfish way, once we've done that, then you can truly go out and help others without affecting ourselves. We can still do it while we're sort of learning that as well. But all I'm saying is self-love is number one.
It is. And just talking about our life is important when we're ready, or, what's ever pertinent. Just the comments, it's putting awareness back in my corner. Like, cause yeah, I stay up too late. And I love how Simon and Heidi and Jeanette were talking about, well, you want peace and quiet. And Heidi's mentioning, well, it's so peaceful and there's so much wisdom. And it's like I've just been used to allocating that time of day for some of those things, even though I do that during the day too. But it's like my system has just been it's a default, right? So it's like it's making me reconfigure to even choose and have a choice, right? It's bringing this consciousness forward to do something different. So it's like now I get to choose more, and hopefully I can grow because of that, the awareness of this even conversation. So thank you, everybody.
No.
Yeah, I love again what Simon says, and what other people were hinting at. You were like, obviously you need it. So your soul knows you need it. You just have to stick it somewhere else or do it a little bit differently. But your soul needs that. And that's why you're still doing it. I love it.
Love it.
Okay. So Simon, everybody's really engaged. We could continue to have
All night.
way more deeper discussion. We could continue to go down the rabbit hole. We only have so much time as humans, though, today. I would love to have you back for more stimulating discussion and readings. Please know you're always welcome, and thank you everybody in the comments. Again, if something grabs your attention, just let me know. But we are going to wrap up the psychic hour, and I turn it back into Simon's court, and I say, what is a favorite saying, something that comes to you off the cuff, or something you're guided to share with us before we leave?
Now you put me on the spot because I always come up with little sayings and
It's good. It's good. I like to kind of go, where are you
but
at?
there is
As
one thing I do actually say to people, and it's not an actual saying, it's just something I say to people, and I say it as much as I can: keep smiling and keep dancing.
oh, I love it. I love
You
it.
know, just every day, just keep smiling, keep dancing.
Keep smiling, keep dancing. Please take that message to heart, everybody. And we will be back on the Psychic Hour on Friday for the reading show. And we will be having Jennifer Rose and also Lynn Juno on for their shows too, as well. Embrace Infinity and Kaleidoscope of the Soul. So it'll be a really lovely Friday. Please join us then. With that said, Simon, what a pleasure to talk with you. And thank you for sharing your wisdom. We appreciate you.
Thank you ever so much, Kelly, and I appreciate it. And it's an honor for you and to invite me. And thank you ever so much. I love talking about this stuff.
It is an honor as well, and we will see you again. For everybody, take care. Your comments are seen. Thank you for joining us. Please go with love, luck, and light, and don't forget to live, everybody. See you on Friday. Bye.
Bye-bye.